Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Good to be back. I've been away for a few weeks. We start off by chanting Jai Ram Madhava. Jai Ram Madhava, Kunda Vihari. We can recite the Mangala Charana. I don't know if it will be on the board, but I think a lot of you know it. So please follow along. Om Ganati Mirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yataparamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Param Sahagana Lamita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karma Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Bhakta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Adijanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we'll be reading today from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, text 11. And please repeat. Ye yatamam prapadyante.
Ye yatamam prapadyante.
Ye yatamam prapadyante.
Ye yatamam prapadyante.
Tamstataiva bhajamyaham.
Tamstataiva bhajamyaham.
Tamstataiva bhajamyaham.
Tamstataiva bhajamyaham.
Mama vartmanu vartante.
Mama vartmanu vartante.
Mama vartmanu vartante.
Mama vartmanu vartante.
Manushya partha sarvashaha.
Manushya partha sarvashaha.
Manushya partha sarvashaha.
Manushya partha sarvashaha.
So we'd like to chant.
Ye yatamam prapadyante.
Ye yatamam prapadyante.
Tamstataiva vajamyaham.
Tamstataiva vajamyaham.
Mama vartam navartane.
Mama vartmanu vartante.
Manushya pata sarvasha.
Manushya partha. Anyone else?
Ye yatamam prapadyante.
Ye yatamam prapadyante.
Tamstaiva bhajamyaham.
Tamstataiva vajamyaham.
Mam vartman vartatante.
Mama vartmanu vartante.
Manusya partha sarvasya.
Manushya partha sarvashaha.
Ye yatamam prapadyante.
Ye yatamam prapadyante.
Tamstataiva vajamyaham.
Tamstataiva vajamyaham.
Mama vartmanu vartante.
Mama vartmanu vartante.
Manushya partha sarvasha.
Manushya partha sarvashaha. Yea,
Yea,
all of them.
all of them.
Yata,
Yata,
as. Mam, unto me.
Unto me.
Prapadyante,
Prapadyante,
surrender.
surrender.
Tan, unto them.
Unto them.
Tata,
Tata,
so.
so.
Eva,
Eva,
certainly.
certainly.
Ajami,
Vajami,
do I reward.
My reward.
Aham,
Aham,
I.
I.
Mama,
Mama,
my.
my.
Vartma,
Vartma,
path.
path.
Anuvartante,
Anuvartante,
to follow.
follow.
Manusya,
Manusya,
all men.
all men.
Partha,
Partha,
O son of Pritha.
O son of Pritha.
Sarvasha,
Sarvasha,
in all respects.
in all respects.
Translation. All of them, as they surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Please repeat. All of them,
All
All
of
of
them.
them,
as they surrender unto me,
as they surrender unto me,
I reward accordingly.
I reward accordingly.
Everyone follows my path in all respects,
Everyone follows my path in all respects.
O son of Pritha.
O son of God.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Everyone is searching for Krishna in the different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence and as the all-pervading Supersoul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is only fully realized by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. Now, I'm going to stop right here. Now, in the verse and in these first sentences of the purport, it sounds pretty inclusive. Krishna says, all of them, everyone follows my path. And Prabhupada says, everyone is searching for Krishna. Krishna is the object of everyone's realization. Anyone and everyone is satisfied according to the desire to heaven. So it sounds pretty inclusive of everybody. What struck me reading this purport is there's a very large segment of beings who are not mentioned in the purport, as Prabhupada is describing how Krishna reciprocates with different beings. So see if you can catch it at the end. Actually, before I go any further, this first sentence struck me as something familiar. Everyone is searching for Krishna in the different aspects of his manifestations. That reminded me of, I think this is where George got the idea. Reminds me of the first word of the introductory note to the Krishna book by George Harrison. It says, everyone is looking for Krishna. Some don't realize they are, but they are. So that reminded me of a story that Shyamasundar tells about the printing of the Krishna. I'm going to go off on a tangent here a bit and talk about the printing of the Krishna book. Shyamasundar tells the story that he had become good friends with George Harrison. He was one of the group of devotees who went over to England and they met the Beatles, and George was doing a lot of service. They recorded the Radha Krishna Temple album, and he helped publicize it. It was a big hit. And Prabhupada, in the meantime, was working on writing the Krishna book. And he'd completed the manuscript, and the artists in LA were producing all the paintings for the Krishna book. They just didn't have the money to publish it. So Shyamasundar had mentioned once to Prabhupada in a letter that, maybe George would pay for the printing. Of course, he hadn't asked George about it. He just thought, maybe that's an idea. So when Prabhupada was, Shyamasundar had been traveling with Prabhupada as a secretary, and they had just come back from a wonderful tour of India. And Shyamasundar was scheduled to meet George after not having seen him for a while. He'd been keeping regular correspondence and sending letters every week about news of the preaching in India and Prabhupada's activities. So he was going to meet George. George had agreed to pay some thousands of dollars to buy marble for the London temple. So Shyamasundar was in Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada was showing him all the pictures from the artist he had prints made of all the paintings that the artists had done for the Krishna book. And he's showing Shyamasundar these pictures one by one. The first one was Vasudeva carrying Krishna across the river with lightning over it. In literature, that lightning would be considered foreshadowing, so remember that. So Shyamasundar was just struck by how blissful Prabhupada became. Just this almost childish exuberance, just, looking at the pictures. Here's Kaliya, and here's Radha and Krishna in a boat, and here's the killing of the Trinavarta demon, and Prabhupada's just getting so excited remembering Krishna's pastimes. And he said, your friend George, perhaps you should ask him to pay for the printing of this book. Prabhupada got a quote from Dinapan for the publishing of the first printing of Krishna book, $19,000. And $19,000 in 1969 money, after you figure for inflation, would be equivalent of $166,000 today. So this was no small ask, even for a rich guy like George Harrison. So Shyamasundar met George, and one sculptor who went to help them pick out the marble. He was considered the sculptor laureate of England. He designed British coins. He was carving a bust of Prince Charles, who was a young man at the time, now King Charles. And afterward, so they picked out some wonderful marble for the temple, and then they went to this sculptor's house for dinner, a nice vegetarian dinner. His name was David Wynn. So Shama Sundar knew that he's going to have to ask this of George. And now when Prabhupada told him this, he didn't want to do it. His argument with Prabhupada was, the reason we have good relations with him is I never ask him for anything. The Beatles have people asking them for things all the time, hundreds of people a day, and I've never asked him for anything. But he's come forward and offered to do these services, and Prabhupada said, "Well, you can blame me. Just say your spiritual master asked this." And he gave him some of the prints of the paintings for the Krishna book. So they picked out the marble. They went to David's house for dinner. They had a nice vegetarian dinner. Everyone was in a good mood. They were, joking around. And finally, the end of the meal came, dessert, and George knew it's now or never. I got to ask him this. So he started telling George about this wonderful book that Prabhupada had written, this Krishna book. Prabhupada, would you be able to pay for the printing of this book? And suddenly the mood changed. And going from jovial to very serious, and maybe George is even becoming a little angry. Just at that moment, a huge lightning clap. Boom! The house was struck by lightning. Oh! Lights went out. It was just completely silent. Shama Sundar said you could hear everyone breathing. And the lights came back on. George started laughing. Okay, how much is it? About $19,000. He agreed. And Shama Sundar went back to the temple, came up to Prabhupada's room. He was still up and told him the whole story. He was all excited. And Prabhupada said, "See, I told you Krishna would help you." Anyway, Prabhupada acknowledged that donation in his introduction to the Krishna book. He said, "My grateful acknowledgement is due to Sriman George Harrison, now chanting Hare Krishna, for his liberal contribution of $19,000 to meet the entire cost of printing this volume. May Krishna bestow upon this nice boy further advancement in Krishna consciousness." So, I'll get back. There's another thing I want to read from the Krishna book a little later. So we were on Bhagavad Gita. As they surrender to me, I reward accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. So continuing the purport. Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as Supreme Master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally of intensities of love for him. So here Prabhupada starts by describing the topmost devotees, the pure devotees who were in this personal rasa with Krishna, as servant, as friend, as parent, as lover, and how Krishna is reciprocating according to one's mood of service. Krishna will reciprocate. He actually will enact those pastimes to be your friend or your son or a lover. So these are the primary rasas, or ways that Krishna reciprocates with his topmost devotees. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally according to their different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feeling are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with the different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord and thus derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalists, who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity. So I have to stop here. This is just such a striking phrase. These are jnanis who are working to attain liberation from this material world, sometimes performing great austerities to merge into the spiritual effulgence of the Lord. And this is considered by many a greatly exalted spiritual goal. How does Prabhupada describe it? Spiritual suicide. Because by merging your existence into the Brahmajyoti, into the effulgence of the Lord, you've given up that loving reciprocation with Krishna on a personal level. For the devotee, that's the worst thing. Just to be absorbed, to be liberated from material existence, but to be absorbed in this, in the impersonal effulgence of the Lord, that's a hellish idea. So that's not something that devotees would all aspire for. As for those who are impersonalists and want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of a living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. So we don't consider that a very lofty goal, but if that's what you want, Krishna will also accommodate. And as you surrender to me, I reward accordingly. If you want to annihilate your individuality and be merged into the Brahman, you can do that. Krishna will allow it. So Krishna is explaining what's the topmost thing, but if you don't want the topmost thing, he's not going to force you. I remember there's a section in the seventh chapter where Krishna's talking about demigod worship, and he's saying that if you're worshiping the demigods, that's not very intelligent. Because you're getting material things. People worship the demigods to get elevation to higher planets or to get wealth or good fortune in this life. And Krishna says that's not what did he say? He says men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and the fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. So Krishna is not recommending this. He says if you do this, you're of small intelligence. But then two verses previous, he said, I'm seated in everyone's heart as a super soul. As soon as one desires to worship the demigods, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to some particular deity. So you're not very bright if you do this, because you're looking for something temporary, and you're simply binding yourself to more continued existence in this material world. Hey, but if that's what you want, I'll help you. So as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So back to our verse. Oh, I lost my place. Sorry. All right. So Krishna helps the impersonalists by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal, blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality. Sometimes Prabhupada has compared this to a diseased person who's suffering horribly from some disease, and he's lying in the bed and everything's painful. Lying in the bed's painful, eating's painful, talking to someone is painful. And if the diseased person thinks, well, when I'm healthy, I'll never have to lie in a bed again. I'll never have to eat again. I'll never have to talk with people again, because these things right now, they're all causing me suffering. So this is the mentality of the impersonalists, who see the suffering in this material world and want to get free from it to life and go attain liberation. But that liberation, that impersonal liberation, that forgoes any possibility of loving relationship with the most attractive, wonderful spiritual personality of Krishna. So these spiritual relationships in Krishna consciousness, they're not a cause of suffering. They're the highest ecstasy, the highest bliss. So, again, that's why Prabhupada calls this spiritual suicide. So some of them, who are not even situated in the impersonal existence, return to this material field to exhibit their dormant desires for activities. They're not admitted to the spiritual planets, but they are again given a chance to act on the material planets. For those who are fruitive workers, the Lord awards the desired results of their prescribed duties as the Jagyeshwara. And those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. So, a fruitive worker in this context is someone following their duties of varnashram, performing prescribed duties and rituals and worship of demigods. And they're gradually elevated because any sacrifice involves worship of Vishnu, who's the Jagyeshwara. He's the Lord of all sacrifice. So any sacrifice, even sacrifice to the demigods, will include worship of Vishnu, so it'll be gradually elevated. And yogis, they're seeking mystic powers, so Krishna reciprocate with them also, give them their mystic powers. In other words, everyone, there's that everyone again, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy only. And all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. Now that's an amazing statement. All kinds of spiritual progress are different degrees of success on the same path. So the yogi, the jnani, the karmi, they're all on the path of spiritualization. We don't say these paths are invalid, but they're different rungs on the yoga ladder. One may be on the first rung, or the second one, or the topmost rung. This gradual elevation from a jnani to a yogi to a bhakta, in this age it's not so much possible or recommended. Lord Chaitanya has given us the see, people in this age are not terribly qualified. This is the age of Kali, when people are not so inclined or able to follow strict spiritual disciplines. So Lord Chaitanya, the incarnation of Krishna, the most, has in this age given easy Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, unless one therefore comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one is without desire, the condition of the devotees, or is desirous of all fruitive activities, or is after liberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. So, I want to contrast this statement that all spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path with, there's a saying, famous saying of one prominent impersonalist in India, Yatamat Tatapat, which translates as many paths there are, there are as many paths as opinions. In other words, everyone has their own path. Whatever path you follow is equally valid. So Krishna gives some credence to all paths, but he said there are different degrees of success on the same path. You can't manufacture your own religion, as a popular idea today. I have my own truth, you have your truth. Don't be judgmental and judge me for believing in my truth. Well, Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, and we can judge different degrees of success in spiritual life to that degree that one is approaching God. in a general sense, anyone who believes in God can be considered a Vaishnava. Christians, Muslims. These are, Prabhupada said that the three scriptures of the Yavanas and Malechas, meat eaters and low-class men, the three scriptures of the Yavanas and Malechas are the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran. So they're worshiping God in their own way, and we give them credit for that. But we have something much more to offer, much more specific information about the nature of God, about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, about His activities, His name, His form, His qualities, His pastimes. We don't just have a general idea of God as the supreme controller somewhere, or the supreme controller somewhere up in the sky, who may judge us if we do bad things. Okay, so we finished the purport. Now, we talked about all of them as they surrender to me. Now when we talk, Prabhupada discusses the yogis, the karmis performing their prescribed duties in varnashram, karmis, jnanis, the yogis. So and of course the bhaktas, the devotees, the different classes of different devotees engaged in different rasas. So who's missing from all this? How about just about everybody? I mean, the materialists, the atheists, and there's a few of those in the world, you may have noticed, who are not engaged in karma, regulated karma, or jnana, or bhakti, or any bona fide yoga path. And I was thinking about this. Well, Krishna says all of them is surrender. Everyone follows my path. But Prabhupada doesn't mention the gross conditioned souls who aren't engaged in any spiritual practice. And the conclusion I came is, well, Krishna is not reciprocating with them as the personality of Godhead, or even as the Paramatma, or as the Brahmajyoti. Krishna is reciprocating with them as his material energy. This is his agent for the atheists and those who are not at all inclined to spiritual life. We could also include the animals. The animals aren't mentioned here also. They're simply following their nature, gradually evolving from lower species to higher species to human life. Now this human life, this is the rare opportunity. This is the chance we have to make some inquiry about who am I, who's God, what is the purpose of life, and to take to the process of self-realization. Now, Krishna's, he's not just abandoning those who are not on the spiritual path. I mean, they're under the restrictions of his material energy. Krishna is coming personally through his incarnations, through his representatives, through different avatars and representative pure devotees, and soliciting everyone, please don't continue to rot here in material life. Take to the blissful path of spiritual life. Come back home, back to Godhead. So let's see, what else did I have here? Oh, okay. Another way that Krishna is reciprocating with everyone according to their surrender and according to the desire. In the Krishna book, in the pastime where Krishna is entering the wrestling arena of Kamsa, and all the residents of Mathura are witnessing Krishna come in. And according to their relationship with Krishna, and according to their the degree of surrender, they're all seeing Krishna differently. So when Krishna entered the wrestling arena with Balaram and their friends, he appeared differently to different people according to their different relationships, rasas, with him. Krishna is the reservoir of pleasure and all kinds of rasas, both favorable and of all. Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure and of all kinds of rasas, both favorable and unfavorable. He appeared to the wrestlers exactly like a thunderbolt. To the people in general, he appeared as the most beautiful personality. To the females, he appeared to be the most attractive male, Cupid personified, and thus increased their lust. The cowherdmen who were present there looked upon Krishna as their own kinsman, coming from the same village of Vrindavan. The Kshatriya kings who were present saw him as the strongest ruler. To the parents of Krishna, Nanda and Yashoda, he appeared to be the most loving child. To Kamsa, the king of the Bhoja dynasty, he appeared to be death personified. To the unintelligent, he appeared to be an incapable personality. To the yogis present, he appeared as the supersoul. To the members of the Vrishni dynasty, he appeared as the most celebrated descendant, thus appreciated differently by the different kinds of men present. Krishna entered the wrestling arena with Balaram and his cowherd boyfriends. So, all of them, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So here, at one time, in one place, Krishna is reciprocating with hundreds of people, all in a different way, according to their relationship and according to their surrender. Nanda Yashoda is the most dear child, the beautiful boy. To Kamsa, the Maniac king who only desired to kill Krishna, he was death personified. So, everyone, all of us, even within this material life, we're within a material body, and we have our responsibilities and activities and relationships. But beyond this world, we have our eternal relationship with Krishna in one of these five rasas. And as our consciousness is purified by the process of bhakti yoga, this relationship will eventually be revealed. So, actually, I was talking about the printing of Krishna book. This is kind of unrelated, but I was thinking of another. Yes, Boo, you have a question?
One question. How would how can you understand the word surrender? Surrender, someone surrender to
Yeah.
the degree. Give me some example of surrender that we can understand. What should we do to Krishna? Like, leave everything, or
That's one way to do it.
Today is 25.
Krishna. Krishna says in the 18th chapter, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Amivaishyasi Satyam Te Prachijane Priyosame. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage to me. Thus you'll come to me without fail, because you're my dear friend. So the process of bhakti yoga is open to everyone. Everyone can chant Hare Krishna. It's not limited to someone who moves into the temple as a full-time devotee. The process is available to everyone. Everyone can surrender to Krishna in their own position, wherever they are. Krishna says, think of me. So we think of Krishna, we come and we see the deity of Nitya Gauranataraj, and we can remember that form of Krishna. This is bhakti yoga. This is surrender. Coming here and joining in the kirtan, and hearing the Krishna Katha. This is surrender. This is the process of bhakti yoga. It's not something all or nothing. Everyone can surrender to Krishna by thinking of him, by chanting his holy name, by remembering him, by bowing down before him. So I'm going to tell a story of a printing of another book of the Bhagavad Gita. Ramananda tells this story. Prabhupada had written the manuscript for the Bhagavad Gita, and they were looking for a publisher. This is very early on, around 1968 or so. And there were no Gitas in the movement. I mean, and Prabhupada tasked Ramananda to try to find a publisher. This is in New York, and Ramananda was going around to different publishers and couldn't find anyone interested in publishing this Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. So at this time, the devotees had recorded a record album, a happening album. Prabhupada and the devotees chanting Hare Krishna, and they were selling the album, bringing a little money from the temple. They'd go and place them in shops, and they did mail order. They advertised in local magazine, and people would send in a check, and they'd mail them the record. Well, they got one order for a record album and the address was the Macmillan Publishing Building. One of the employees there had ordered a record. So Prabhupada saw opportunity. He told Ramananda, you take this and you hand deliver it. You don't send it by mail. And see if they're interested in publishing the Bhagavad Gita. And Ramananda said, should I take the manuscript with you? No, you just go there and deliver the records. So Brahmanan went to the office of the person who ordered the record. He was a little disappointed. This guy wasn't in charge of publishing. He was an accountant. So he had no say in what books got published or not. So as Brahmananda was talking with him, telling him about the movement, another Macmillan employee came in. This man was in charge of Macmillan's Asian books division, and Brahmananda told him, "Yeah, I have a Bhagavad Gita that we're looking to publish." "You have a Bhagavad Gita? I'm looking for a Bhagavad Gita." They didn't have they were looking for a Bhagavad Gita for their Asian books department. So yes, I want to see it. So that's how the Bhagavad Gita got published. Another Krishna miracle, like the lightning bolt for printing the Krishna book. So as Prabhupada told Shyama Sundar, Krishna will help you. So when we make that endeavor to serve Krishna, Krishna helps us, sometimes in obvious ways and sometimes in subtle ways. So I can open this up for questions, comments, realizations. Yes, Prabhu.
So, based on the translation, is surrender the first qualification to expect some reward from the Lord, and what exactly is the reward here?
Well, the reward depends on your surrender. That's what the whole point of the verse. As you surrender to me, and we accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, engage in His worship, become His devotee, bow down to Him. As we surrender to Krishna, Krishna rewards accordingly. We read the different ways that Krishna rewards the different persons. If someone is approaching Krishna not as the Supreme Person, but as the impersonal Brahman, which is an aspect of Krishna's personality, is impersonal qualities. Krishna will reward them by absorbing them into his effulgence. We're taught by Prabhupada and by the acharyas in our line to render service by the process of bhakti yoga, which has nine methods: hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, remembering, worshiping, praying, serving lotus feet, surrendering everything. I think I might have missed one. But by the 9 processes of devotional service, we engage in Krishna conscious activities. And surrender to Krishna. Everyone can surrender to Krishna. You don't. We chant Hare Krishna together. That's actually the method of surrender most recommended by Lord Chaitanya in this age. To congregationally come together and chant Hare Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is so merciful. Yes.
Does surrender deepen with time?
Pardon?
Does surrender deepen with time?
Is it deepen with time?
Yeah, will you have more surrender throughout your process of bhakti?
Yes, your attachment and your surrender. If you keep following the process, the anarthas, the unwanted things within your heart will gradually be cleansed, and we can surrender more fully, become more absorbed in Krishna's service. Right now, we're in a conditioned, contaminated state. Our heart is full of many desires that don't involve surrender to God. But by taking to the process, starting with the chanting of Hare Krishna, these things become cleansed. And actually, one of the statements made in that record album I was talking about, Prabhupada gave his explanation of the chanting of Hare Krishna. He said, this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is not an artificial imposition on the mind. It is the original energy of the living being. So right now, our original pure consciousness has been covered by our contact with matter and identification with the temporary material body. But when those illusions are gradually cleansed by the process of devotional service, real love and real devotion to Krishna can awaken.
How do I find out this eternal relationship?
Krishna will reveal. You keep chanting Hare. Sometimes devotees want to prematurely, find out. Well, am I a gopi? Am I a cowherd boy? No. This will be revealed by Krishna in due course of time. Don't be impatient. People who want to jump over and find that relationship prematurely, called sahajiyas, or someone takes something cheaply. We have to first go through the process of purification. One can't understand that eternal relationship with Krishna until our heart is completely cleansed of all material things.
Does the spiritual master play a role in that specifically?
Yes.
See outside of that.
The spirit. I don't know who has an answer for that. What's the role of the spiritual master?
I'm kind of thinking that when you find your guru and your guru finds you, that you are initiated into that group, so you already are in that same mood as your guru and the disciples.
You don't have the same sort of as your guru, but your guru is the one who reveals stuff to you. You can't just take stuff directly from Krishna. Because if I'm here sitting and I think, oh, my heart's so pure, I'm a gopi, then that's just pure mental speculation. That authorization of who you are, that will be revealed to you, like you said, through Krishna, but through your spiritual master, through your spiritual teacher.
Sometimes Prabhupada would be asked this by devotees and say, well, Krishna will reveal in due course of time. So yeah, it's through the spiritual master, and spiritual master is the medium through which Krishna, by which we approach Krishna.
Yeah, I would just add that we are learning these philosophical studies from Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada is our point of view to see what he wants to do. So he tells us that we should inquire of the spiritual process and surrender to him. And then Krishna would later tell us that inquire the truth from the realized soul, which is the spiritual master. So the pleasure of the spiritual master, accept him as a bona fide representative, is kind of the main goal of all that. And everything else depends on him. He'll open up the life for us.
Yes, people.
In this law, मम वर्तमानो वर्तन्ते मनुष्य पार्थ सर्वस्.
Yes.
Lord Krishna explains directly to Arjun, and while in the translation, Prabhupada has made it, O son of Kunti, Kuta.
Yes.
So
Son of Pita.
basically difference is no, but is there any philosophy?
Hmm?
Is there any philosophy behind mentioning the son of Kunti, and in the sloka it is mentioned direct to Arjun?
Basically, the point, his question is that why son of Pita, and in the shloka, it says son of Kunti.
Yeah.
No. Manusya Partha, which is direct to Arjun.
No. Partha or
Partha is the son of Pita.
Partha, yeah.
who's the Partha here? So Partha, no, Partha is O son of Pita.
Yeah. Son of Pruta, son of Kunti.
Yes.
Yes.
But Lord Krishna mentioned directly to Arjun as a part.
Yes.
So, basically different son of Kunti and Arjun, there is no difference.
No, the same person. I mean, Krishna addresses Arjuna by several different names. He addresses his Pita, as what are the other names?
Dhananjaya.
Bharat. So. Yeah, this Pita, son of Kunti, the same Arjuna, just a different name.
Rajat,
So,
Yes, Guru.
do you have any, like, how do we surrender? So, like, the translation says, as all surrender unto me, but like, surrender seems to be like a very difficult thing to do.
It's as easy as chanting Hare Krishna. So we come together and we chant the holy name. Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto, always think of me, become my devotee. Madhyaji mam namaskru, worship me, offer your homage to me. By chanting Hare Krishna, we can think of Krishna. We engage our senses in the service of Krishna. We worship the deity. There are many. We're aspiring to surrender to Krishna at every moment. It's not something, okay, I've done it, I've surrendered to Krishna, my job is done here. It's a moment to moment choice we make to am I serving Krishna now, or am I doing something else? We can think of Krishna in any circumstance. If we're engaged in our occupation, we can think of Krishna. If we're driving in the car, we can think of Krishna. With our family, we can chant together Hare Krishna, make our home a temple, worship Krishna in the home.
So like, my question is like, for example, like, as Prabhuji mentioned, we are like, the ideal way is to move to temple, but like in 2025, we are having all these materialistic things we are doing, like, so how do we surrender, like, how do we surrender not spiritually but materially also?
To the degree that you can take up the process of devotional service by regularly chanting. If you're working a job, you could give a portion of your income to help propagate the Hare Krishna movement. Engage your family members in chanting and assisting family and community in whatever way you can to bring them to the point of surrender.
Yeah, in surrender also, he will teach how step by step is come and stay for the Sunday program, full program. And then you will increase your hours from there. First of all, Sunday, 4 to 8-ish, you stay back, you give yourself time to clean up something. And then you come in here to surrender, to please Krishna, not that, oh, I gave Krishna 20 minutes, I feel good now, you go home. It's about his pleasure, not our pleasure. Surrender means pleasing Krishna. It's not about enslaving ourselves, and I don't like, yeah, my roommate is calling me, let me go back home.
I guess on the subject of like our relationship with Krishna, you know, there like bhakti is a process, and obviously like you kind of like grow deeper in your own bhakti. So I guess like my question is, how do you maintain that balance of like understanding Krishna with that on reverence, but also understanding Krishna as like a friend, or like in those various types of relationships, like as a friend, like you see, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you're supposed to have like an understanding of like Krishna and his heart, but then also like understanding like Krishna as a friend. You know, how do you keep that balance without like taking Krishna too cheaply, but also not keeping him on the altar? You know.
Well, we understand that Krishna is the well-wishing friend of all living entities. I think this is a little different use of the word friend than we talk about Vatsalya Rasa as the coward boys, the friends of the spiritual world. Krishna in the 5th chapter says that, and he gives us the peace formula. One of the items is one who sees me as the well-wishing friend of all living entities. So Krishna is everyone's friend. I think that's a little different meaning of the word friend than Vatsalya Rasa, which we were talking about previously. I mean, Krishna wants the best for us. He wants us to be happy, but he's not going to interfere with our individual freedom of choice and our independence. We have that independence to serve Krishna or not. And because without independence, without choice, where's the question of love? Krishna wants our love. Love can't be forced. You can't force someone to love you. Krishna wants us to be happy in our eternal spiritual relationship with him, but we have that independence. If we choose to try to enjoy separately from Krishna, well, that's what this place is. Not this place, the temple. This place, the material world. And if we want to serve Krishna, there's this place, the temple. So I thought we'd have a little fun here. Well, fun for me, I don't know if you think it's fun. But the Bhaktivedanta Archives compiled a list of the most quoted verses by Srila Prabhupada. 180 verses that Prabhupada quoted more than 100 times in his writings and his lectures. And they put them in order from 1 to 180. And I was going to do a top 10 countdown of the most cited verses by Srila Prabhupada. Now, first of all, does anybody have any guesses what might make the top 10? Yes. What's the first line?
Na jayate mriyate.
What is it?
Na jayate mriyate vakadash.
Na bayat, na.
212.
Yeah, let me see. Na jayate mriyate vakadachin. What thing is? Number 18. With this one? 74.
He knows Asmin Yata Dehe.
Yes. Number 7. Yes, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto. Number 9.
Yada hidarmasya.
Yada Hidarmasya. 36. Number 2. Yes.
Sarasya Chaham 15:15.
Sarasya Chaham Vidi Sanavishto. 13.
Yat karoshi yadashnasi.
Hmm?
Yat karoshi yadashnasi.
Yat karoshi yadashnasi.
Come on, everybody, pick up your shlokas, which one you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're doing Prabhupada now.
Yep.
Nainan Chindanti Shastrani.
Which one?
Nainan Chindanti Shastrani.
Nainan Chindas.
Chindanti Shastrani.
Nainan. No, I don't see it on the top.
Bahunam Jamana Mante Jnanam.
Yes, number 5. Jamanamante. Patram Pushpam Balam Toyam. Number 50. Okay, so I'm going to do a countdown of the top 10. Number 10. Prakrite Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarja. Ankara Vimudhamaka Tavmiti Manyate. Translation? Prakrite.
False ego.
Prakrite Kriyamanani Gunai. Let's see, is that
It's the 327. It's about false ego, and then you carry out the activities are carried out by. For the doer, they think that.
Oh
they are
yeah,
actually
one
doing
who
it. But
this
the-
material nature.
Yeah, the
The
activities are
spirit soul
natural.
bewildered by the influence of false ego thinks himself the doer of activities
Which
that
are
are in
actually
actuality carried out by the three
nature.
modes of material nature.
Yes. And then number 9, Manmana Bhakama Bhakto. That's actually 2 different verses, 934 and 1865. And I quoted that already. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage to me. Number 8, Daiviye Shuganamayi. Gunai Karmani Sarjaha Ankara Gudamaka Miti Manyate. That this material nature, this material nature is very difficult to overcome. Is that the one?
714.
Yeah. 714. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the 3 modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. One who surrendered to me can easily cross beyond it. Okay. 7. Dehinosmin yada dehe, omorum yovanam dra, tata dehantara praptir dirastapjanamuyati. That's 213.
As the embodied soul,
His embodied soul continually passes from this life from boyhood to youth to old age. The soul continually passes to another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Okay, number 6.
number 6.
Bhagavad Gita 1854. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Shochati Nakang Sati. What's the rest? Brahmabhuta Prasanatma. One who is thus on transcendental.
One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me.
All right. Number 5, 719. Bahunam Jamnanamante Gyanavanmam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sadurlabha. After many births, one who is in knowledge engages in devotional service to me. There's more, something like that. Yeah.
You have it, come on, Hezi?
Yes. 719. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare.
4. This is one of the few that's not from Bhagavad Gita. This is from Brahma Samhita 5.1. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karma. This Krishna is the supreme controller. He has a transcendental body of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. He has no cause other than he's the cause of all causes. Number 3, Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Janma karma chime divyam evam yo veti tattvata kyakta deham punar janma naitamamiti sorjana. The one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving this body, take birth again in the material world, but attains my eternal abode. And number 2, Bhagavad Gita 1866, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, Aham Tvam Sata Devyo Mokshishyami Masaja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall protect you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. Okay, number 1.
Drum roll,
Is
please.
it not from Bhagavad Gita?
Not from Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe Ekeva Krishna Epe Samsakalam.
No? Okay, you all know this one.
Oh.
It's from the Kali Santaran Upanishad. Everybody together.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The most quoted verse by Srila Prabhupada. And I've taken this list from the Bhaktivedanta archives. I've put it on a spreadsheet and made a one-pager. Have all the verses in order from 1 to 180 on one side, and on the other side, alphabetically. So if you want to look up a verse and see where does that fall on the list, and you can look it up. So I made copies of these. I'll leave them up here. Help yourself to a copy. Okay, so we have time left. What do you do with all this? Why is this class so long? I feel like I've been talking for hours. We could have kirtan.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to read a kirtan?
Prabhu, do you want to lead? You have the mic, Prabhu.
Okay, I have the mic and the cartels. Okay. Let's start with the number 1 most quoted verse by Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,